3 before 8. All this week and next, every hour of the program, you'll have a chance to win 2 gold reserve tickets to Greece, the #1 party musical at Her Majesty's. Listen for the cue to call, which is You're the One That I Want. And more importantly, you're going to the draw for $4,000 Bank of Melbourne Incentive Saver account, all thanks to the Bank of Melbourne. This is funny. I was just handed a pin by our next guest because he is one of the most extraordinary artists you will ever see. His name is Willard Wigan. He is a micro sculptor. What he does is he creates sculptures on the head of a pin or the eye of a needle. Quite intricate designs, such as the Last Supper, which I hold up to you. And I have seen, and as you have seen, his presentation to the think tank TED, and I still have no comprehension as to how it is possible to create such microscopic works of art, which are currently at the ANZ Centre in the Docklands. Willard, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I saw the presentation, and you've just handed me the pin as an example of the eyelet of the pin, and I put it down momentarily, and it's so small I couldn't find the pin again. How is it possible?
Actually, it's a needle. With the eye of the needle.
Eye of the needle. Now, they say it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. What tools do you use in order to construct a sculpture like that?
First of all, Ross, I'd like to say thank you very much for inviting me. And I'll just like to explain a little bit about my work. It's very painstaking work. It drives me insane. To create one of these pieces, Ross, you have to sort of train your whole nervous system to do it. You know, I've been doing this since I was 5 years old. It started when I was a young kid, like I said. It was ants was my sort of inspiration. We used to have a little dog.
You constructed an apartment for ants?
Yeah, that's right. You know, the dog destroyed an ant's nest, and I kept thinking the ants were homeless.
Yeah.
So I used to pick the ants up and look at them and think they could speak, you know, and I kept thinking that they were upset, so I decided to make houses for ants. I took my dad's razor blade and started slicing these splinters of wood and constructing these little houses. And
I would doubt my ability to be able to hold a pin steady enough in order to complete such a work of art, because presumably on such a microscopic scale, if you make one blunder, the whole thing would fall apart. And I know that you said in your presentation you've actually been halfway through a work of art and inhaled it.
I'll tell you something, Ross. This work of art, you have to be on the ball all the time, because your concentration has to be so intense. You have to become like a dead man working, because I've trained my heart by sort of working between the heartbeat, so that as I start to sculpt, you know, I don't get any sort of vibrations from my hand.
Where do you get the tools from? I mean, can you go to a shop and buy tools to do these sculpts, or you have to make your own?
Well, I make my own tools now, because to create the smallest artwork in the world, you've got to create the smallest tools in the world. And some of the tools are made from little shards of diamond, broken shards, which look like little bee stings, and I also make little tweezers and, you know, little knives, which is sort of each individual tool is sort of different. But to actually create the artwork itself, that's when the nightmare begins, because I've even inhaled some of my own work.
Yeah.
You know, so that'll give you...
We better get this exhibition's on for one day only at the ANZ Centre in the Docklands, so it'd be nice if we knew the date. When you go along, how will I observe it? I'm now holding up this needle with its eyelet. Will there be a microscope for me to look through?
Yeah, they'll be able to see it perfectly clear. You look through the microscope, they can see it. And the detail, you know, it'll come to light just how detailed my work is. It's not just a little dot in the eye of a needle. You know, if you want to see evolution of man, you'll see that. The Last Supper, you'll even see the Holy Grail on the table. You'll see perfect detail. It's not just something with just a shape.
Do you work with a microscope?
Yeah,
well, you have to.
Yeah, you have to, because, you know, when you're working on this molecular level, that's the only way you can do it, because the work is so small. But even though you work with a microscope, it still produces a lot of problems.
And you've got a philosophy about your art too. It's all about things being more than you can see with the naked eye, isn't it?
Well, you know...
And big isn't everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I was told at school that I was nothing. You know, because I have a learning difference. I was told that because I couldn't read or write, I was nothing. So the nothingness has made me who I am today. Because, you know, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. you know, my school teacher would always drum it into my head that I'm illiterate and I can't read, I can't write, so therefore I'm the example of failure. But now I've made a little voodoo doll of that, so...
And you do it
I'm
on-
only joking.
Do you receive commissions? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Queen, I think, that is the greatest moment of my life when I received an MBE, and plus, you know, I was commissioned to make a crown for the Queen, which is actually at Buckingham Palace now in her private studies, which is on the head of a pin, which is smaller than a full stop in a newspaper.
Yeah.
Too big for an ant, and not even the Queen can wear this one, and she's absolutely delighted, you know, and
If I were, there are sports people who require a steady hand, like archers and shooters and the like, who use beta blockers to steady their nerves. Is that something that would be helpful?
No, because with me, I don't need it because I was born this way. You know,
So-
my mother said to me, the smaller my work, the bigger my name would become. So I just went on this intensive journey to train my whole nervous system to become, you know, to have the steadiest hands on the planet. You know, I wanted to sort of create this microscopic world that would have a big impact on people.
If you want to have some understanding of what this extraordinary thing that Willard does is, the best way is to go to Willard Wigan, Wigan as in the town, Wigan, willardwigan.com or dot...
Yeah, willardwigan.com.
Okay,
Yeah. Or just Willard Wigan if they go to YouTube and you just tap in Willard Wigan. Or,
That's an idea.
you know, they'll get me.
And,
They'll
or
get me.
more importantly, if you want to see it in person, this Wednesday, January the 22nd only, one day only at the ANZ Centre at 833 Collins Street, just down here in the Docklands. Or you can see it online now, anz.com/tinyart. Absolutely, it's one of the most extraordinary things you will ever see. And we thank you for coming in to chat with us about it, Willard.
Thanks, Ross. Thank you.
It's 7:45 on a day that Willard was actually here last week, enjoying our very temperate 44-degree days. How did you find that?
It was a luxury for me because in England, you know, it's that cold. Yeah, any heat will do. And to me, this bring it on. It can be as hot as it wants. I love it.
Partly cloudy, isolated showers or drizzle clearing during the afternoon. A top of 24. It's currently 19. After the break, the man who lost a bet took on the TAB and won. 7:45.